It's still not on.
Hello?
Hi.
Can you hear?
Yes, I hear. Oh, here
Okay.
we go.
Okay, so why does that say mute?
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבטחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבטחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבטחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבטחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבטחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבטחים גם יחד. Let's clap together. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבטחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבטחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבטחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבטחים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
All right, folks who are in the sanctuary, let's hear it. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
shalom.
Very good. Folks who are joining us online from wherever you are, let's hear you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Computer, but go ahead, do it again. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you, thank you. Friends who are here, we're using this red Siddur. If you don't have the red Siddur, there's a couple right outside the sanctuary. You can go grab those. For those who are joining us via Facebook Live or Zoom, the service has been pinned to the page so you can follow along, and we will call out page numbers as we go. Folks who are here and folks who are dialing in from home, this is a highly participatory service. So when you can clap or snap or tap, do it. When you can la 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 or sing the words, whatever you can do, your energy is going to be a very important piece of your personal experience, and also, believe it or not, Zach's experience. So we are here for a Shabbat morning service and a bar mitzvah. Zach, thank you for doing this. Thank you and to your parents for making sure that we were able to have your bar mitzvah, despite all the challenges and the moving parts and the moving people and a global pandemic. You're the man, and we really appreciate you. So thank you for giving us this opportunity for a simcha and a mitzvah and this holy time coming together. So if everybody doesn't yet know, we have Zach, who is our bar mitzvah. We have Cantor Lorna Desnick. I'm Spike Anderson, Rabbi Spike Anderson here at Temple Emanu-El. Take a moment or two or three and give a shout out on Zoom or Facebook Live or wherever you are to the folks around you. A Shabbat Shalom, a wave, a thumbs up, a hello, a how are you? Very good. And as you're doing that, let me give you just one sentence or two on what's happening here. We're in the sanctuary at Temple Emanu-El. Cantor and I are a good 50 feet away from Zach and Missy and Tony, his parents, and the others from his family who are up on the bima. They are not masked because they are all a pod. We are far enough away that we are masked and safe. We have the few folks who are joining in the sanctuary who are also masked and a significant distance away. So that way we can be together, but we can be safe, which is a really important value for us here at Temple Emanu-El. All right, friends, it is so good to be together. Please join us. Hine Matov.
Hine Matov Umanayim, Shabbat Akim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanayim, Shabbat Akim Gam Yachad. You're beautiful at home. Hine Matov, Hine Matov. Yananai, nanai, nanai, nanai. Hine Matov, Hine Matov. Yananai, nanai, 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 nanai. Hine Matov Umanayim, Shabbat Akim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanayim, Shabbat Akim Gam Yachad.
So Zach, there are some benchmarks or signposts along the way this morning as you lead our congregation in prayer and in the service of your coming of age. This process of going from a Jewish kid to a Jewish young man in the course of a morning. One of them is your talit. Your tullis is a outward sign of being a Jewish adult. And according to our tradition, you are not allowed to have worn this talit publicly before this moment. Yesterday, last week, last month, last year, you couldn't because you were a kid. But in a moment, we're going to ask your parents, Tony and Missy, to present you with your tullis, and in doing so, acknowledge the beginning of your entering Jewish adulthood, this sacred piece of clothing to be worn in your most sacred moments as part of our religion. So Tony and Missy, you're on page 5. And if you will read the intention, following which, Zach, you'll read the blessing for the talit, and then the talit will be donned.
As this talit is draped around your shoulders, may the voices of the generations speak to you. May you know that there is a people, a rich heritage to which you belong, a sacred place from which you are connected to all who dwell on earth. As you are embraced in the folds of this talit, so too are you wrapped in the loving embrace of your family, community, and this holy congregation. May this simplest of garments always be for you a symbol of God's abiding and sheltering presence. As you recite the blessing and wrap yourself in this talit, we proudly watch and celebrate with you as you accept your place in the chain of our tradition.
Very good. Okay, Zach, so now you're going to read the blessing for the talit.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzotav v'tzivanu lehi'atef b'tzisi.
Amen.
Amen.
That is a gorgeous talit. And you're going to make sure your arms go on the outside. Missy and Tony, is there a story with this talit, and how did you choose it?
This talit was handmade by my mom, Flora Cohen, and the knots were tied by Rabbi Watstein and Zach's teacher at B'nai Aviv in Weston, and Sarah sewed the collar piece for him.
Gorgeous, gorgeous, and love the story and the love that went into it, and a bringing together of your various communities, including Rabbi Adam Watstein, who is a very close personal friend of mine. Love it, love it, love it. So, Jacob, Karen, come on up, and I want you to join them up there. Arms around each other. Family, we know that families and communities come together for all sorts of reasons. Some sad. This one, Zach, super happy. Under my mask, I'm smiling big time. All right, super happy. And what we Jews do when we know we're experiencing a certain type of time is we sing Shehachianu. Literally, thank you, God, for this moment of time that we're here, that we're breathing, we're together. May we have this type of time and holiness again and again and again. Friends, please join us, page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh. Amen together. Amen.
All right, give a big hug. Yeah, look at that. That's the love. Okay, Jacob, Karen, if you'll have a seat. Okay, and Zach, you're going to lead us on page 6.
I believe that's it.
See what it says.
Whenever you are ready.
God be with me on this occasion of my bar mitzvah. Help me make meaningful the covenant you now establish with me. Sustain me with a sense of holiness. Inspire in me a desire to be special. I do not ask that you make my life easy, resolve my problems, map out the direction of my life. I ask only that you strengthen within me the desire to mold and shape my life in accordance with your will. In this hour of my bar mitzvah, I invoke your blessing upon my parents and friends and all who have loved and cared for me and have brought me to this time of gladness. Give them joy and fulfillment in my growth and my achievement, you who turn the hearts of children to their parents and the hearts of parents to their children.
Thank you, Zach. So in a moment, Cantor's going to lead us on page 7 with Nasim B'chol Yom, the daily miracles. For those who are actively following the service, you'll see that the Hebrew is on the right of the page, the English translation on the left of the page, and the transliteration in the middle of the page. Nasim B'chol Yom are the daily miracles. A big part of a spiritual life is recognizing with gratitude those things around us that are worthy of it. Some of them big, some of them small. Each of the different pieces the cantor will chant, we respond with an amen, is meant to be taken both literally and metaphorically. So as we're going through, take a look and see which one of these daily miracles is most speaking to you this Shabbat morning. Which one has your name on it?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasech v'bina lehafkin ben yom u'ben laila. We say amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Tokeach ivri.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asuri.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufi.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam roka haaretz al hamayim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam mafish arumi.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten laya'ev koach.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir shina me'enai utnuma me'af afai.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tselem Elohim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani bat Chorim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael b'gvura.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tif'ara.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitchanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen. Zach, would you lead us responsively on page 13? So friends, where we see the italics, we all join in.
May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for fellowship.
May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit indifference, selfishness, and harshness.
May this synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. Zach, would you lead us in Chetzi Kaddish, page 14?
Yikada ve'yikadash shemei rabba
Amen.
be'alma diverachirute be'yamlich malchute bechayechon uvyomechon uvchayedecho be'Yisrael ba'agala Uvizman Kariv V'yitmeru.
Amen.
Yesh me'rabam korach le'olam olam e'omaya yitbarach.
Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yithadar ve'yit'ale ve'yithala shemei de kudsha baruchu le'ela min kol berichata ve'shirata tushba'achata u'vechemata da'amiran be'alma v'yitmeru.
Amen.
Excellent. Baruch, page 15, please rise.
Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Ya lai lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Ya lai lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach. HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Zach, in a moment, Cantor's going to lead us on page 15 with Yotzer Or. Yotzer Or, my friend, is the prayer where we give thanks and recognize creation. God's creation, not just the one-time creation, Zach, because that's sometimes hard to get our arms around. But the idea and the philosophy and the worldview that every morning that you wake up, you, Zach, have a chance to recreate yourself, your home, and the world around you with your attitude, the choices you make, and how you go through life. You are not locked into yesterday or last week, last month, last year. That every day that you wake up, you have a chance to renew the creation around you again. Yotzer Or, page 15.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvarei choshech, oseh shalom uvarei et hakol, hameir la'aretz v'ladarim alecha v'rachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh, v'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita. Mala'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha. Tit barach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha ve'al me'orei or she'asita yifa'arucha selah. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir v'nizkeh chulanu meherah le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai yotzer ha'me'orot.
Zach, in a moment on page 16, together we'll do Ahava Rabbah, translated as God's abundant love. Now, Zach, this prayer talks about God's abundant love for you and your Jewish people. And there's an interesting phenomenon that goes along here. So, Tony and Missy, you are parents of 2 boys. Each is very different, I suspect, from the other. 2 very different children. And yet you have an infinite amount of love for each of them. The love that you have for one does not exclude in any way the love that you have for the other. In the same way, God's love for us as a people, as individuals, doesn't mean that God doesn't have infinite love for other individuals and other peoples. Ahava Rabbah is just a testament, an acknowledgement, a tapping into this love that we can feel if we are open enough to receive. Page 16.
Ahava Rabbah ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu, chemla gedola v'terah hamalta aleinu. Ba'avur avotenu ve'imotenu shebatchu lecha vat lamdem chukei chayim ken tifonenu ut lamdenu hamerachem rachem aleinu v'tein belibenu lehavin ulehaskil lishmoa lilmod ulelamed lishmor ve'la'asot ulekayem et kol divrei Talmud Toratecha be'ahava. Baruch atah Adonai habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava.
Amen. Zach, we get ready for our Shema on page 18. Like most Jewish people, this is probably the first prayer that you learned. The first Jewish prayer that you learned is probably the Shema. And according to our tradition, the last prayer that a Jew hears before she or he passes is the Shema. And in between, you have probably said the Shema hundreds, if not thousands of times. It's almost a weave that keeps coming back and back and back, bringing you back to a center, a balance with the oneness, a place in the universe, knowing that Adonai is Echad, Adonai is one. We get our feet on the floor, get ready to put our hands over our eyes, centered for the Shema.
Shema
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Shinkevod, Shinkevod, Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
Okay, friends, if you'd like to be seated, you may be seated. Zach, in a moment, you're going to lead us in Via Hafta on page 18, which is the second part of the Shema. The Via Hafta prayer, amongst other things, is a reminder that there are reminders of what? Of when it is appropriate to do the right thing. When is it appropriate to have a particular orientation, a Jewish orientation, a God orientation, a way of going through life? And the question that's asked in the Via Hafta, more or less, is when are we supposed to do this? And the answer that's given in here at first seems pretty simple, right? The answer is, well, when you're sitting down and when you're standing up, when you're at home, when you're on your way. In other words, Zach, always. That's the simple answer, but it's not so simple because it's very hard, Zach, to do anything meaningful always. Always. And so what I'd like you to do with me, with your folks, and everybody who's joining us for our services, is we're going to take 3 deep breaths together, intentionally. We're going to take 3 deep breaths. Ready? In we go. Out. In. Out. One more. Out. So what we've just done, Zach, is something that you've literally been doing every minute since you've been born. Breathing. But most of the time, we just don't think about it. We don't take it, we just take it for granted. If we thought about it, we'd acknowledge that that breath fuels the blood through our veins, allows us to hug and strive and create and grow and really live. So the Via Hafta is a reminder that we have reminders of how to do this thing as much as we can, as close to always as we can. Your tzitzit, your mezuzah on your door, the tefillin that you've received, all the Judaica that's probably in your house, and with intention, the signs and wonders of beauty and grace that you will encounter through human connection and the natural world around you. Via Hafta, page 18.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך וביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We'd like to invite Liz Singer to join us on page 19, leading us in our responsive reading.
Adonai, our God, you took us out of slavery in Egypt. You made us free.
Together, you are in the courage with which we overcame 40 years of desert wandering.
Even today, you are in the hope that, like a beam of light, brightens the darkness of suffering and despair.
You are in the love that creates, protects,
forgives.
forgives.
Standing at the sea, we felt your goodness and your love, and we sang a new song to you. And still today,
we sing that song.
We praise you, Adonai, Redeemer of Israel. Michamocha, page 20.
Yai lai lai la lai la 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 la. Yai lai lai la la la. Here come the claps. Lai 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 lai. Ya la 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 la. Lai 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 lai. Let's do that one more time. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 la. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 la. Good hot. Ya lai 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 lai. Ya la lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Ya la lai lai lai. Michamocha. Michamocha in the Madonna. Michamocha the Ejabakuda. Dorati healer, oh say fella. Dorati healer, oh say fella. Ya la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la la. Ya la 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 la. Adonai Imo, Le'olam Adonai Imo, Le'olam Ha'ed. Ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Sur Yisrael,
Please rise.
Kuma Bezrat Yisrael, Upidechini Umecha, Yehuda ben Yisrael, Go Aleinu Adonai Tzevahot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch Ata Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
So Zach, in a moment, you're going to lead us in our Amidah, our standing prayer on page 21. Two pieces of intention as we go into this. The first is that you are leading us in a conversation with God. And these conversations at first start communal and then get intensely personal. Zach, when we come into this, you're invoking the names of the Avot, our forefathers, and the Imahot, our foremothers. In other words, you're entering into this conversation saying, hey, we have yichus, you and I, God. We have a connection that goes back to your parents and grandparents and great-grandparents, great-great-greats, all the way back to the beginning of time as we know it. You're entering to this well-known, connected, and loved. The second point to consider are these words that we begin with, Adonai Sivatai Tiftaf, Ufi Yagid Hilatecha. You're asking that the intentions of your heart find articulation in your words. And there's an ellipsis that the articulation of your words leads to acts, action, and deeds. Please, everybody, get ready as we begin our Amidah prayer.
Adonai Sivatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo v'Ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Abraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Milchayei ha'kol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Mashich ha'ruach u'morid ha'gashem, Mechokel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofeh Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishene Afar, Milchamocha Ba'al Giburot, Umidol Elach, Melech Mevit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atal hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
We'd invite Philip and Flora Cohen to lead us in our reading on page 23, responsively. Missy, do you see them there?
I do, but
Where?
they don't
Okay.
see
Many
Many
are
are the ways of holiness, varied are the
its
paths.
There is holiness when we strive to be true to the best we know.
There is holiness when we are kind to others.
There is holiness when we strive for harmony in all of our relationships.
There is holiness when people of different backgrounds work together for a common future.
There is
Holiness when people seek justice and struggle for righteousness.
There is holiness when people create lasting poetry or song or philosophy.
There is holiness when we forget what divides us and remember what unites us.
Holy, holy, holy is Adonai our God.
Page 24, Kedusha.
Nekadesh Shemcha Ba'olam, Kishem Shema Tishimu Tovi Shmimarom, Kakatuv Hayad Nevi'echa, V'kara Zelzeh V'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech kol haaretz, Kevodo, Adir Adirenu Adonai Adonenu, Madir Shimcha b'chol haaretz, Baruch Kevod Adonai Mikomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu v'hu Yashmienu, v'rachamav le'nei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Yitzion, Ledor vador. Hallelujah. Ledor vador. Ledor vador. Ledor vador. Nagid God lecha. Repeat after me. Ledor vador. Ledor vador. Nagid God lecha. Ulenetzach netzachim. Kedushatecha nakdish. Kedushatecha nakdish. V'shivcha Eloheinu. Nivinu lo yamush le'olam va'ed. Here comes your part. Ledor vador. Ledor vador. Nagid God lecha. Ledor vador. Nagid God lecha. Gadol v'kadosh, gadol v'kadosh, ata. Tiyam gadol, gadol v'kadosh, gadol v'kadosh, ata. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
You can be seated. Zach, would you lead us on page 25 responsively?
From of old, the Jewish people have seen Shabbat as a unique gift, a token of its covenant with God.
Shabbat is the most cherished creation of the Jewish spirit. It mirrors the essence of the Jewish soul.
Shabbat has never been merely a day of rest from labor. It has always been a break in the routine of everyday life.
Shabbat is a symbol of liberation and triumph, of the holy over the profane, of spirit over matter.
In every age, Shabbat afforded the Jew a sacred retreat, a haven of safety, a fountain of new strength, and a perpetual renewal.
Shabbat nurtures family life in love and harmony. A home at peace welcomes Shabbat with joy.
Shabbat is part of nature's design, the very purpose of creation. All that was created attained its fulfillment in Shabbat.
Shabbat is our hope, the calm haven where all the weary find rest. With the coming of Shabbat, redemption and peace enter the world. Yismachu, page 26.
Yismechu v'malekutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Oneg Shabbat, try that with us.
Yismechu
v'malekutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Oneg Shabbat. Mekareshe shevi Shabbat, Kulam yismehu v'yitagu tuvecha Shabbat.
Yismechu v'malekutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malekutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Oneg Shabbat.
Shabbat, and on Yomim, Tokarata Shabbat.
Yismechu v'malekutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat Oneg Shabbat. Yismechu
v'malekutecha,
Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Oneg Shabbat.
Zecher, 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 L'maaseh v'reishit Shabbat. Zecher, L'maaseh v'reishit Shabbat.
Yismechu v'malekutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Oneg Shabbat.
Yismechu v'malekutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Oneg Shabbat.
I would invite Ronnie Rosenzweig to lead us in our responsive reading on page 27.
Our world is full of wonders and miracles, but all it takes is one little hand placed before our eyes and we see nothing.
The miracles are all around us and within us. We are each walking miracles.
When we are bruised, what miracle heals us? When we see beauty, what miracle elevates us? When we hear music, what miracle moves us?
When we see suffering, what miracle saddens us? When we give and receive love, what miracle warms us? When we pray, what miracle renews us?
Every springtime is a miracle. Every snowflake is a miracle. The thoughts we think, the words we speak, the hopes we cherish, each is a miracle.
For all these miracles, may your name be exalted and blessed forever and ever. Jacob, come on up, and you're going to lead us on page 28 with the responsive reading.
Our God, we know there is no greater gift than peace. Help us to find the peace that comes from the love of your Torah.
Inspire us to banish hatred, war, bloodshed, and bigotry. Help us to establish forever one human family, doing your will in love and peace.
Help us to find peace in ourselves and among all people. O God of peace, bless us with peace.
You have given us the power, O God, to bring peace and justice into the world. May we always love peace and pursue it, and love our fellow creatures. Fill us with kindness, wisdom, and love. Then shall we learn to live in peace. Blessed is God, teacher of peace. Page 28.
Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha, sim, shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, sim. Sim, shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha.
We take a moment for our silent prayer, our silent reflection, our silent meditation. In the silence, what is it that you hear? Our rabbis say anytime we come together, we need to pray for peace, peace amongst nations, peace amongst neighbors, peace in the home, peace within ourselves.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Let's sing that together. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech hador lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech hador lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael. V'chol עת ובכל שעה לשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam.
Missy and Tony, the parents' blessing on page 31 is an amalgamation of different jewels taken from Talmud. This is the parent blessing that you impart upon your youngest son on this most special of days.
May you live to see your world fulfilled. May your destiny be for worlds still to come. And may you trust in generations past and yet to be. May your heart be filled with intuition and your words be filled with insight. May songs of praise ever be upon your tongue and your vision be on a straight path before you. May your eyes shine with the light of holy words, and your face reflect the brightness of the heavens. May your lips ever speak wisdom, and your fulfillment be in righteousness. A Jewish home opens its heart, and its link to the generations is proclaimed. Today, our child, nearly grown, is called to read from the Torah and is welcomed into the congregation. May this moment be blessed.
Hug, hug, kiss, kiss. All right, friends, we're going to rise for our Torah service, page 32.
Zach is going to start us off with In Kamocha.
In kamocha Elohim Adonai, ve'in kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshotecha bechol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz ha'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom.
Aharachamim etiva hirtzonecha et Zion tivnei chovot Yerushalayim tivnei chovot Yerushalayim ki becha levan matachnu melech el ram benisa adon olamim ki mitzion tetzei torah ki mitzion tetzei torah kudvar Adonai mirushalayim Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Le'amo Yisrael V'kedushato. So Zach, Rabbi spoke earlier at the very beginning of our service about signposts, and here is yet another one. So at this moment, the very beginning of our Torah service, if you've ever seen, I've used this analogy before, but when you watch the Olympics and you watch the opening ceremony of the Olympics, you see all across the country that is hosting the Olympics, the runners, the sprinters, and the relayers, right? They take their torch and they run a certain distance and then they pass it off, they light another torch and another runner runs all the way until they light the big torch at the opening ceremonies. So I like to use this analogy because our Torah is like this torch of light. It's everlasting, it's ever living, and it has come to us down and down and down the generations, literally since nearly the beginning of time. And so in just a moment, it is going to come down to you. And in this way, you, Zach, are our next sprinter. So just a few moments ago, we all sang L'dor V'dor together from generation to generation. You are that generation. And you are now charged with this task of keeping the Torah close to your heart and also taking it down to your next generation. Who's that? Many years from now, when you have a family of your own, you will pass Torah on to your children and you will help them like your parents have helped you. You will help them pass Torah on to their children. And that, my friend, is how Torah really remains as ever living, everlasting light in our souls, our hearts, and our community. So Mom, if you go ahead and pick up the Torah, and of course at this moment we know that even though they are not present with us, we know that they are watching from afar and thinking of you, that this comes most immediately. We think about your grandparents, Philip and Flora, who are on Zoom, and Lorraine and Alan West, who are out on the West Coast, and who came before them, and them, all the way back to Abraham and Sarah. So Tony, if you want to give the Torah a little kiss and touch before it goes into Zach's arms, beautiful. And then Mom, you are going to place the Torah into Zach's arms.
Okay.
How's that feel? Pretty good, right? Pretty heavy, but you've got it. So Zach, if you would please chant for us our Shema Echad and God's Lu.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlu la Adonai iti, Unro Mema Shemo Yachdav.
And now the Bar Mitzvah family can undress the Torah. Lecha Adonai hagedula, v'hagevura, v'hatiferet, v'hanetzach, v'hahod. Ki hu b'shamayim u'ba'aretz, ki hu b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamelacha, v'hamid na'aseh, l'chol rosh. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishtachavu lehar kodsho. All righty, now Zach, very important question is, do you have everything up there that you need? Awesome, very, very good. So Zach is going to be chanting for us from Parshat Miketz, Genesis chapter 43, 11 through 14. And for our first Aliyah, chanting our Torah blessings, we call to the Bima very proud parents, Missy Cohen West and Tony West. Ya'amdu Malkalia bat 5 of Fredo. Victory la Aliyah la Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher basher banu mikol havim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai notin ha-Torah.
Amen. Yasher Koach and Zach, take it away.
Vayomer alihem Yisrael abihem im kenefo. Zot asu kechu mizmerat haaretz bichlechem behoridu laish mincha ma'at sori at devash nechot velot botnim ushkedim vechesef mishnei kechu vedechem ve'et ha-kesef ha-mushav befi techotechem tashivu ve'dechem ulai mishkehu ve'et ha-chichem kachu vekumu shuvu el ha-ish Ve'el Shaddai yitain lachem rachamim lifnei ha'ish ve'shilach lachem achichem acher ve'et binyami ya'ani ka'asher Shachalti.
Yasher Koach, and of course, I forgot to seat everybody, so everybody can please be seated, except for Mom, Dad, and Zach, of course. And Mom and Dad, if you would offer the blessing following the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chaye olam nata betuchenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher Koach, hugs and kisses. Beautiful. And so, Zach, just as we talked about, Mom and Dad will keep an eye on that Torah while you go have a seat just for a moment. Yep. Yep, somewhere where we can see you. Exactly. Beautiful. Sure. Okay. So we've been talking about these different markers all morning. And this is really a morning of transition, right? We began together this morning. You're Zach West, 13-year-old kid, and now you are moving into Zach West, 13-year-old young Jewish adult, active member of the Jewish community, active participant of the Jewish community. And this is the moment. So as soon as I call you up by your Hebrew name, you literally ascend. That's where we get this word aliyah. Aliyah means to ascend. Right? When we say we make aliyah to Israel, we're ascending up, right, into Israel. The same thing is you are ascending into becoming a bar mitzvah. And in doing so, that simple walking up to the Torah is that physical demonstration, right? But we know that you are elevating not just yourself, every single person in this room, everybody on Zoom, and everybody in this entire world is elevated because what you have been doing, what you are doing this morning, what you're about to do. So it is my pleasure to officially call you to the Torah as a bar mitzvah. You can walk on up to the Torah, okie dokie, as I chant, Yamud Habachor Habar Mitzvah, Zelik Moshe ben Malkalea, La'aliyah la Torah. And you're going to go ahead and offer the blessing.
Baruch Adonai Hambrach.
Baruch Adonai Hambrach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambrach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
And you're going to go ahead and read for us your Torah verses.
Vayomer alihem Yisrael abihem im kenefo zot asu kechu mizmerat haaretz bichlechem vehoridu la ish mincha ma'at sori u'ma'at devash nachot velot botnim ushkedim v'chesef mishne kechu v'yedchem v'et ha'kesef hamushav v'fi amtochotechem tashivu v'yedchem ulai mishkehu v'et achichem kachu Vek umu shuvu el ha'ish ve'el shaddai yitain lachem rachamim lifnei ha'ish vashilach lachem et achichem acher ve'et bin yamin va'ani ka'aser shacholti shachaleti.
Yasher Koach, and go ahead and offer the blessing after the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chaye olam natan b'tochenu baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Beautiful. Okay. Mom and Dad, will you put a hand on Zach's shoulders? Okay, I'm going to ask everybody to rise, both who are present in the sanctuary and at home. Zach, we're going to give you a special Misha Berach for your spiritual development, your continued spiritual development. The hope is that you look upon this day as a spiritual cornerstone of your life, something that can be recognized, identified, and pushed off of for your own spiritual journey that goes from this day forward. We'll do it in Hebrew, then in English. Misha Berach Avotenu Vimotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Hu Yevarech Et Zeleg Moshe Ben Malkaleah, Shehagia LeMitzvot LaAlah LeTorah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yismerehu V'chayehu V'chonen Et Libo, Yot Shalem Im Adonai Elohav. L'hagop adorato la'lecha bidrachav v'lishmor mitzvotav v'yimsei chen v'seichel tov v'enei Elohim v'adam v'nomar. Amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you, Zach, who's come up for an aliyah upon the age of mitzvot. May the Holy One guard you and sustain you, helping you to be wholehearted in your faith, studying God's Torah, walking in God's ways, and fulfilling God's mitzvot. May you, Zach, find favor before God and all people. Let us say, Amen. Okay. So, Tony and Missy, if you will get the Torah cover, so we wrap the Torah up with the Whipple, that's right, and just get the Torah cover from behind there. And I'm just going to place it gently right on top. And that will be the sign that everybody can be seated. Is that perfect? Slide it right over. Everybody can be seated. Zach, you're going to get ready for your Devar Torah, your Drash. A big part of today is not just reading from the Torah publicly, but also interpreting Torah, interpreting the parsha that you had, the story of Joseph, and how it relates to you, how it relates to us, and the lessons that can be learned. This is an outward sign of an adult in the Jewish community.
My Torah portion is Miketz from the book of Genesis, and it is about Joseph. He was the most loved son and the youngest child of his father, Jacob. His parents gave him a special robe because he was their favorite son, and they thought he was a gift from God. Scholars think that the robe signified a person who was literate. Joseph spent time at home while his 10 brothers worked long, hot days in the field with the flock. His brothers started to despise Joseph because they were jealous of him, his easy life, and that he was their father's favorite. When parents or elders show favoritism, it can cause jealousy and anger towards the favored. It can cause mental and physical hurt to everyone involved. It can also be very difficult to repair the relationships once trust is broken. In my parsha, neither Joseph or his brothers told Jacob that he was hurting them. So in the end, Joseph's brothers ended up lying, and Jacob ended up having his heart broken. Joseph had a dream where all his brothers came out of the cornfield holding bundles of grain. All his brothers' bundles of grain bowed down to his own grain. Joseph was standing on top of the grain and had risen all the way up into the sky. Joseph spoke openly about this dream, and others like it, where his brothers and even his parents bowed before him. These dreams made his brothers hate him even more. One day, when Joseph was about 17 years old, Jacob sent Joseph out to check on his brothers to make sure that they were doing what they were supposed to be doing. His brothers saw him coming and said, "Here comes that dreamer." They plotted together. When Joseph came close, they beat him up and threw him into a pit. Hurt and feeling betrayed, Joseph cried out to them, but their hatred was so strong that they sat next to the open pit and ate their lunch to the sound of Joseph's cries. When a slave caravan came by, they sold him into slavery. They ripped his special robe from his back, tore it to shreds, and soaked it in goat's blood. They took it back to their father, who cried out, thinking that his son had been torn apart by wild beasts. The slave caravan brought Joseph to Egypt, where he was bought by a rich man named Potiphar. Potiphar saw that Joseph was able to run a household, and he trusted him so much that he made him in charge of everything. Potiphar's wife fell in love with Joseph, but Joseph knew that loving her back was wrong, so he said no. To get revenge for being rejected, she screamed. Joseph got in trouble with his master. He was then thrown into prison, and there he was left to rot. Things were looking bleak, but in prison the same pattern emerged. The warden saw that Joseph was able to run things and put him in charge of the other prisoners. Two of the men in prison with Joseph had been thrown there by Pharaoh and the most powerful man in all the land. Both men had dreams, and since they knew that Joseph could interpret dreams, they asked him for help. One man's dream meant that he soon was to be executed. The other man, Pharaoh's steward, had a dream that meant he would soon be freed and return to Pharaoh's household. Joseph asked that the man remember him when he was free. The steward promised that he would. Meanwhile, Pharaoh himself was having a dream that was driving him crazy. 7 beautiful and healthy cows rose from the Nile. After them came 7 ugly and skinny cows that ate the healthy cows. The dream was so bad it woke Pharaoh up. When he went back to sleep, 7 beautiful stalks of grain rose from the Nile. After them, 7 ugly and dreadful stalks of grain devoured the beautiful and healthy grain. Pharaoh asked all his servants to help interpret his dream, but none of them could. He became angry with them. The steward, remembering Joseph and his skills, told the Pharaoh that there was a Hebrew slave in the prison who did interpret dreams. Pharaoh brought out Joseph, who claimed that his skill in dreams was because he was a vessel for God. Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dream to mean there was going to be 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. People would starve. And the Pharaoh believed what Joseph told him. Like Jacob, Potiphar, and the prison warden, Pharaoh put Joseph in charge of gathering enough grain over the 7 years of plenty to store for the 7 years of famine to follow. Pharaoh made Joseph in command of the entire Egyptian empire, second only to himself. When the 7 years of famine came, it hit not just Egypt, but Canaan, where Joseph's father, mother, and brothers still lived. Jacob had heard there was bread and grain being sold in Egypt, so he sent his sons there. They came before Joseph to ask for food, but they did not recognize Joseph. They thought he was dead. The last place they expected to see him was wearing the clothes of an Egyptian ruler and sitting on a throne. The brothers said, "We are your servants, my lord." Joseph then said they were spies. The brothers said, "No, we are not spying, my lord. We just want grain to feed our family." Joseph asked, "How many people in your family?" The brothers said, 11. They told him their youngest brother and father were at home. Joseph said that if they ever came back, they were to bring their youngest brother Benjamin as proof that they were telling the truth. Benjamin was now their father's favorite and was the only full brother of Joseph. Joseph wanted to see if they were mistreating Benjamin, just like they had mistreated him. Their brothers left, but after some time, their food ran out again, and they had to come back to Egypt. Jacob did not want to let Benjamin go, for he feared that he would die like Joseph. But the older brother insisted and swore that they were they would protect Benjamin with their lives if they had to. When they arrived, Joseph invited the brothers into the palace for a feast. He gave them food and packed their bags with more. But before they left, he hid his golden cup in Benjamin's bag, the youngest brother's bag. He had soldiers stop them on the road home, search their bags, find the stolen cup, and brought them before Joseph. They were afraid that they were going to die, and they knew that they were innocent. Joseph said, "One of you had stolen my golden cup. I was nice to you, and this is how you repay me." He said, "I will have your youngest brother arrested now." They pleaded with him not to break their father's heart again. Again, Joseph asked. They told him they lied to their youngest brother and father that Joseph had been killed by wolves, and that broke our father's heart, they said. Joseph saw that his brothers had changed. They were not the same people who had sold him into slavery. Joseph revealed who he was and forgave them. Then he invited his entire clan to come live with him in Egypt. So they did. Guilt is a big part of this story, and guilt is part of what causes the changes in both Judah and in Joseph. Judah was guilty because he knew that it was a bad thing to get rid of Joseph and lie to his father. But by that time, it was too late, and Joseph was gone. So he was struck with the guilt. It caused Judah to offer himself in place of his little brother when the planted cup was found. He could not live with hurting his father again. Joseph felt guilty about being his father's favorite, because while his brothers were working, he stayed with his father. If they had been willing to talk to their father, it could have saved them all the pain and heartbreak. Bar mitzvah means that I am an adult in the Jewish community. To me, this means that now I must take responsibility for myself, my words, and my actions. I will use nicer words and do my best not to be disrespectful. I will do my best to remain calm during arguments, no matter what is happening around me. I'll take responsibility for myself by keeping up my hygiene, limiting my screen time, working harder at school, and paying closer attention to the world around me. As an adult, I want to continue to celebrate the Jewish holiday in my own home. The holidays bring a sense of joy to me. I love the music and the food and the games we play. I would like my children to experience the same tradition that I did as a child, with my parents and grandparents. I want them to see that it is important to value Judaism. I also plan to help my children have a bar or bat mitzvah so they know what I went through, but I don't want them to experience COVID. As a Jewish adult, I want to commit to helping people in our community. I remember seeing a homeless man at Wawa one time. My mom and dad bought him 2 sandwiches, chips, and a bottle of water. This was the first time I had ever seen a homeless person up close, and I felt good that my family helped him. It made me want to do the best I can to help others who need it. When the time comes, I would like to give tzedakah. It will be part of the money I earn at work to those in need. This year, I helped my family donate food for a Thanksgiving food drive. I felt good that I was helping families that could not have had a Thanksgiving meal like my family did. To me, Israel is a symbol of the home of the Jewish people. I have never been to Israel, but I would like to have a chance to experience the traditions, the food, and the people of the Holy Land. I would like to experience Shabbat in Israel. I think it would be more of a holiday than it is in the United States. It is very important that we support Israel because it is a tiny country surrounded by other countries that want to get rid of it. Our money, prayers, and military support help keep Israel safe. I want to thank Saul for teaching me the prayers and the blessings, and Liz for helping me understand melodies. I want to thank both Cantor Lieberman from B'nai Aviv and Cantor Lauren from Temple Emanu-El for teaching me everything for the service and helping polish my chanting. I want to thank Rabbi Spike and Rabbi Max from Temple Emanu-El for helping me express myself and keep me on track. especially Rabbi Spike for taking the time to listen to me about things that were happening in my life, moving from Florida, and also what is happening in the world around us and what we should do to change it. I want to thank Rabbi Watstein for teaching me to make matzah and root for the Patriots. Just kidding, of course. I want to thank my grandparents, Amma and Appa, and Mima and Pipa, for always caring about me and wanting the best for me. To my brother Jake, I love playing video games together. I love it when we hang out. To my mom, I love it when we explore together, cooking our favorite foods and watching Pixar movies together. You're the best mom ever, and I love you. To my dad, I love gaming together when you help me with my homework and just building stuff. We have a really special relationship. I love you. Last but not least, I want to thank my best friends, Brendan and Claudio, for always supporting me and always being by my side when I need them. Thanks, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Well done, Zach. Well done. And a beautiful rendition of a sacred story. And of course, our spiritual heroes in Judaism are not perfect people. They are highly flawed. One of the things that makes them spiritual role models is that they are able to, with time and attention, overcome their mistakes and their flaws, sometimes over even decades. And that's maybe the example. No one's looking for perfect. What we're looking for is progress, honesty, and when needed, tshuva. Zach, you're about to chant Haftorah for us today as well. And the Haftorah that you're chanting from 1 Kings 3:15 through 4:1 is one of the most famous stories outside of the 5 books. This is the story of King Solomon, who was presented by 2 women a baby that they both claim for their own. Solomon, of course, makes the famous decision, knowing who the mother is by the reaction, to gift the child, to say, split the child in half. The real mother says, no, leave the child alive, while the other one was claiming for it to be halved. This let Solomon know who the real mother was. What does this story and the Joseph story have in common? It is the wisdom, the desire that we have, that our leaders have wisdom, insight, and discernment, that they can bring about justice and progress through their integrity for the nation and for people. The wisdom of King Solomon is something to be admired and aspire towards. And you, my friend, will chant these words for us.
Vayikatz Shalomo
Blessings
Vehine.
before?
Yes.
Anyone start?
Start with your blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratzah v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habacher b'torah u'b'Moshe abdo u'b'Yisrael amo u'b'nviei ha'emet Vasedek. Vayikatz Shalomo Vehine Chalom Vayavo Yerushalayim Vayamod Lifnei Aron Bari Adonai Vaya'al Olot Vaya'as Shalamim Vaya'as Mishteh Lech Chol avadav az tavona shetayim nashim zonot el hamelech vatamodna lefanav vatomer haisha ahachat bi adoni ani והאישה הזאת יושבות בבית אחד Va'eled ima babayet. Vahi Vayom Hashalishi Leliti Vateled Gam Haisha Hazot Va'anachnu Yachdav Ein Zar Itanu Babayet Zulati Shetayim Anachnu Babayet Vayamod Ben Hisha Hazot Laila Asher Shachva Alav Vatakum Batochalayla Vetikach Et Beni Me'etli Va'amatcha Yeshna Ba'ashkevehu Becheka Ve'etbena Hamet Hishkiva Veheki Ba'akum Baboker Lehenik Epeni Vehine Met Va'et Boniknain Elav Baboker Vehine Lohaya Veni Asher Yalati Batomer Haisha Ahacharet Lochi Beni Hachai Uvne Nech Hamet Vezot Omeret Lochi Benech Hamet Uvni Hechai Vataberna Lifne Hamelech Vayomer Hamelech Zot Omeret Zebeni Hachai Uvnech Hamet Vezot Omeret Lochi Benech Hamet Uvni Hechai Vayomer Hamelech Kechuli Charev Vayav Hacherev Lifnei Hamelech Vayomer Hamelech Gizoru Et Hayeled Hachai Lishnaim Utnu Et Hachasi Le'anchat Ve'et Hachasi Le'echat Vatomer Ha'isha Asher Bena Hachai El HaMelech Ki Nichmeru Rachameha Al Bena Betomer Bi Adoni Tenula Et Hayalud Hachai Vehamet Al Temitu Vezot Omeret Gamli Gamlach Lo Yeh Gezoru Vaya'al HaMelech Vayomer Tanula Et Hayalud Hachai Vehamet Lo Temitu Ki Imo Vayosemehu Me'u Kol Yisrael Et HaMishpat Asher Shafat HaMelech Vayiru Mipnei HaMelech Ki Ra'u Ki Chochmat Elohim Bekirbo La'asot Mishpat Vahi HaMelech Shalomo Melech al Kol Yisrael.
And now you make the blessing after the Haftarah.
By Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Sur Kol Haolamim Sadiq Bechol Hadarot Ha'el HaNe'eman HaOmer Be'oseh HaMedaber Kayem Shekol Devarav Emet Basedek Ne'eman Atahu Adonai Eloheinu V'ne'emanim Devarecha V'davar Echad Midbarecha Achor Lo Yashuv Rekam Ki El Melech Ne'eman V'rachaman Atah Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaNe'eman Bechol Devarav Rachem Al Sion Ki Hi Veit Chayenu V'la'aluvat Nefesh Toshia Bimchera V'yameinu Baruch Atah Adonai Masameach Sion V'vaneha Samchenu Adonai Eloheinu Be'aliyahu Hanavi Avdecha Uvmalchut Beit David Meshichecha Bim Hera Yavi Veyagel Libenu Al Kisolo Yeshev Zar Velo Yinchailu Od Acherim Et Kevodo Ki Veshem Kodshecha Nishbata Lo Shelo Yichbe Nero Leolam Vaed Baruch Atah Adonai Magen David Al HaTorah Ve'al HaAvodah Ve'al HaNvi'im Ve'al Yom HaShabbat Hazeh Shenatata Lanu Adonai Eloheinu Likdusha Ve'linucha Lechavod Utifaret Al HaKol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu Modim Lach Umvarchim Otach Yibarech Shimcha Befi Kol Chai Tamid Leolam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Makadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
Well done, Zach. Well done. Friends, we have Eitz Chaim on page 39.
Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikima v'tomchecha me'ushar derachecha darchei noam v'chol tzivotah shalom hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Kadesh Kadesh Yameinu Kadesh Yameinu Kekedem.
Friends, I'd like to invite Liz Singer, Director of Lifelong Learning at B'nai in Weston, Florida, to say a couple of nice words to Zach. Liz, how's the weather in Weston?
Good, it's a little chilly.
Okay, well, we'll make do.
To us. Zach, this is the first day of you choosing Judaism. I hope you continue to find moments to laugh, like you would laugh when you'd sit in the dark in the office and jump out at me and scare me. I hope you continue to face challenges that frustrate you, because there is no one who I have met who works harder to meet a goal. There were some weeks when you called me every day to work. And finally, I hope the Jewish moments you have are rich and meaningful. Many of my favorites involved my time with you. I will never miss an opportunity, no matter where I am or where you are, to cheer for you. Mazel tov, you did it. And I can't wait to see what else you do, because you're going to conquer this world. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thanks, Liz. Cantor and I have said it before, Zach, but of all the things we get to do as clergy at Temple Emanu-El, including high holidays and Ruckus Shabbats and weddings and all the good stuff that happens, what we most appreciate is what we've been doing with you the last, well, for you, 6 weeks, 8 weeks maybe. And that is getting to know you at a pretty deep level, Zach, and studying Torah Lishma, study for the sake of higher thought, higher thinking. Zach, I have tremendous respect for you and your parents for getting us to this day. It would have been very easy to put this off, to do things later, to do things very differently, but you and your folks were resolved that you were going to have your bar mitzvah, and despite the changing world around you, moving from Florida, new school, lots of online learning, all the sort of safety guards that usually are in place for a boy becoming a man, learning how to be a bar mitzvah, your prayers, your Torah, your Haftorah, all of that was kind of out the window, or at least very different than not only you had anticipated, but your parents and grandparents. You are living through a time which is unique to these generations. And you've done a tremendous job against big odds to do what you did today. For those of us who are a long way away from our own bar or bat mitzvah, remember, it's hard. There is a lot of work that goes into this. And Zach, it has not been easy for you. Sometimes there have been lots of distractions, right? And sometimes life just gets heavy. But you have done a tremendous job of getting yourself to here with help, right? And now take this momentum, take this confidence, and use it. Going from now into these next moments, we are thrilled that you and your family are here with us at Temple Emanu-El. I know B'nai Aviv was a very big part of your life and your family's life. and that you have amazing relationships with the folks in that community, including the clergy and the professionals. And we at Temple Emanu-El look forward to having that and more with you and your family in these years to come. May this be the first of many simchas that we are able to celebrate together. Cantor?
Zach, wow. I'm so proud of you in this moment. And I just want to echo that we were so excited to welcome you and your whole family 6 or 8 weeks ago. And it's been a whirlwind, and it's been so lovely getting to know you and getting to know your parents. And Moshe and I have really enjoyed getting to know your parents. And I want to talk a little bit about this Joseph story that you recounted for us, and this idea of perseverance, because I really think you embody the story so well. And rabbis and sages always say, like, there's a reason that, you know, we end up chanting the parsha that we do. There's a special connection, and I see this connection between you and Joseph. Joseph, you know, went through all of these twists and turns in his life, right? And he just had this sense of perseverance. And maybe it was because he was a teenager and he just had that kind of, let's just go with it. But he ultimately, he perseveres, and he makes it out of all of these pits that he keeps falling deeper and deeper in, right? And just like Joseph, you have had some pretty major life changes this year. Even if you were still in Florida, the very fact that you're becoming bar mitzvah during a global pandemic is a huge deal, and a big life change for sure. And you have just persevered all the way through it. And I have been really so impressed in our work together. You know, you adapting to someone who's new, someone who might have a different teaching style than the other clergy that you've been working with, and you have just risen to the occasion. And each week I saw you made progress, and it was wonderful to watch and to be a part of. So I just bless you with that sense of perseverance. May you retain that strength, confidence, perseverance, and yes, you will definitely conquer this world. Mazel tov.
So now I would ask everyone to rise, both who are here at the sanctuary and wherever you are, as Cantor and I get to impart upon you, Zach, the priestly benediction, which our spiritual leaders have been imparting to our youth at these liminal moments in time since the beginning of time as we know it. May God bless you and keep you. May God's countenance shine upon you and be gracious to you. May God's face turn towards you, Zach, and grant you the greatest gift of all, your feet on the ground, your family's hands on your shoulders surrounding you by love, Torah at your back, the light of the Jewish people above your head, all the opportunities and the doors open before you, a sense of wholeness, completeness, and peace. And we say,
Amen.
Okay, everybody may be seated except for Mom and Dad. We're going to say some nice things to you, Zach. Stay right up there with them. Except for Mom, Dad, and Zach.
Rabbi, don't forget about Jake.
And Jacob, come on up. Thank you. Thank you, Cantor.
Do you want to start? Okay.
Okay.
But make sure, hang on a sec. I want Zach right next to you because you're speaking to him.
Okay.
There you go.
Zach, I'm so proud of you for learning your parsha and speaking in front of everybody. I know it's not easy. I also want to congratulate you for reaching this huge milestone in your life, and this is one of your many. Now that you're considered a man, you can do all the chores Mom and Dad told me you're too little to do now. A few days ago, it really hit me that your bar mitzvah was this weekend, and I thought about how fast the time has gone by. It seems like we were doing MMA with sock gloves only a couple years ago. Before we know it, you're going to be driving too. I don't know if I'm ready for that. I wish over these years we had gotten closer than we have, but it's not too late to change that. Something I don't say to you as much as I should is I love you and how proud I am of everything you accomplish.
Thank you. In some ways, this Torah portion is about brothers coming together, family getting closer. And I love it that it's not too late. Beautiful. Okay, Missy and Tony, you're up.
Oh, okay. Oh, God. Zach, you're my very own mini-me. You were born on Shabbos, Chol Hamoed Hanukkah 13 years ago. And you were 6 weeks early. And then like now, you did things your own time. You've always marched to your own drum. You never wanted to do what other kids were doing. Whether you were creating crazy sandwiches or regaling us with the history of Texas, you always wanted to share your discoveries with Dad and I. I'm sorry. It's very fitting that your Haftorah includes the story of the wisdom of Solomon, which is more than the story of prostitutes and a baby. The story at its core is about the awareness and composure of a very young king and his innate knowledge of doing what is right. That absolutely describes you, Zachary. You have always had a deep sense of moral compass from when you were very little, and you would tell on yourself when you got into trouble, to your assessment of the things happening in the world around you. You were always vocal whenever you could see something happening that you didn't think was right, and you let everyone know in your calm and pragmatic way. You have that same innate wisdom that Solomon had. It is no surprise to me that 6 of your former teachers are here with us, from pre-K, kindergarten, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 2 of your former principals, your camp director, and your Hebrew school director. All are here supporting you because while you might not be the best student in the world, they have always known that you are a confident, kind-hearted, and above all, sincere young man. I am consistently amazed at the way you have handled things that happened this year. You have taken it all in stride with thoughtful questions and calm determination to get to the point. And eight ninths of the way through, we picked you up and plopped you down in Georgia, but you still smiled and persevered, maybe even better than Dad, Jake, and I. I'm so proud of all you have accomplished, and I can't wait to see what you accomplish next.
Zach, your Torah portion was Miketz and was about a unique boy named Joseph. Joseph was treated better and given special privileges by his father that his brothers did not receive. Because of this, his brothers teased him, treated him poorly, sold him as a slave to get rid of him. He became trusted by the Pharaoh and given great power. When he encountered the same brothers who sold him as a child, he was wise enough to test the character of his brothers, rather than just being bitter and hurting them for all of the pain that they caused him. Joseph put a gold cup in one of his brothers' bags, and when they were caught for stealing, one of Joseph's other brothers said to take him instead. This showed Joseph that people can change and become better people. When you were born, you were a happy surprise for your mother and I, but not so much for your brother. Your brother was used to being the center of our world and was not too happy about you taking time away from his mom and dad. Just like in your Torah, your brother tried to sell or give you to anyone that would take you or listen. The only difference between the Torah and your story is that you held on and remembered everything that Jake did that upset you. You would then wait until he wasn't looking and would sneak up on him and whack him with something like a wiffle ball bat or throw a ball in his face and run off to get away as fast as possible. All kidding aside, I am so proud of you. Sorry. Sorry. And the man that you have become. You are incredibly intelligent, humble, and truly care about others. As you've grown, you've shown me just how strong and smart you really are through your words and actions towards family, friends, and strangers. I love you, and I am so proud of the work you put in for your bar mitzvah. Always remember to be positive, and with hard work, you can achieve anything you set your mind to.
Hug, hug, kiss, kiss. We love the emotion that comes with all of this. The giggles, the crying, proud. Okay, friends, let's rise for Elenu L'Shabbat, page 40. Jake and Zach, would you open the ark for us? Okay, with mom and dad right behind. Please rise. So you're going to grab each side and slide it. There you go.
ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
We can close the ark. I'd ask everyone to be seated with the exception of the family who comes right back to the bima. Friends, Kaddish Tome, the Mourner's Kaddish, can be found on page 41. Zach Cantor talked about the generations who are a part of this moment. We Jews believe that the folks who have been in your family's life, who are no longer physically with us in this world, are very much spiritually present in this moment, and that they are smiling, Zach, because of what you're doing, taking on the amazing privilege and responsibilities of donning your tullis, carrying Torah, and walking in God's ways as a Jew into the world ahead of you. Your family specifically in this moment of joy. Remember Charlotte and Jack Cohen and Millard and Leona West. Friends, or if you are in the first 30 days of mourning the Shloshim period after a loved one's passing, we ask you to rise now so we can recognize you. Please remain standing. If you're in the first year of mourning a loved one's passing, please rise. If you are commemorating a yahrzeit, the death anniversary of a loved one's passing this Shabbat, we ask you to also rise. And if it is your custom to rise in solidarity, or for those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, we ask you to do so now. Mourner's Kaddish, page 41. Yikada v'yikada shmei rabbah. Ve'alma divrach yurtei ve'amlich malchutei. V'chayechon yivomechon v'chayedecho beit Yisrael. V'lavisman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa v'yitruman v'yitnaseh. Vita dar vita la shmei dekutsha brichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechamata. Tamiram b'yalma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'imrumav. Huya aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Say shalom.
Yaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'yimeru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimroma Yaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'yimeru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimroma Yaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'yimeru Amen.
Okay, Jake, join them again, and I want you guys to all shuffle to your left. Okay, and right up there, you're going to see the Kiddush cups. Keep shuffling. There you go. You're going to see Kiddush cups. Would you each take a Kiddush cup, please?
Zach, take the big silver one. Hold it up nice and high.
We are going to bless this day and all that is happening on this Shabbat morning.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagaf, and we say, Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim libracha, to life with blessings. It's grape juice, don't worry.
Take a drink. There you go.
Okay, so before we say Hamotzi, just want to let everybody know we're going to leave the Zoom on for another 5 minutes or so when we conclude our service, so you can wish Zach and family a Mazel Tov and Kibbutz in place of an Oneg. Zach, would you hold up that challah? So unveil the challah. There you go, and hold up from the platter. Just hold the challah right up. That's fine. There you go. Here we go, everybody.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov. Elanu, Elanu, Elanu. U'bechol Yisrael, Yelanu, Yelanu, U'bechol Yisrael, Yelanu, Yelanu, U'bechol Yisrael, Yelanu, Yelanu, U'bechol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov.
Mazel Tov.